Hello, this is Jeff Neville for Selective Imagery. Welcome to this episode called Osprey Adventure with the Nikon Z9 and the 500 PF lens. And FYI, a good buddy of mine was on this adventure with me along with a few other photographers and a couple spouses. And I'm just going to call him Captain Bob. He's going to know who I'm talking about. And he has a YouTube channel called Bob R Photos. Bob, capital R, Photos, and there's a link on my site so you can get to his. And I'm sure he's going to have some video footage of the same event, and I know he's got some pictures that he captured that probably nobody else did of some unusual behavior of an osprey that I'm anticipating that he's going to put in his video and explain to everybody. So please check him out. He may have his video out before you're viewing mine. We're going to be pretty close to releasing them about the same time, so definitely check them out. Now, before we get into the actual video and some of the stills that were taken, I'm going to talk about ospreys a little bit. Now, one might ask, what's the difference? How can I tell the difference between the male and the female without being right next to them? Well, the female, they have what's called a bib. Below the neckline, it looks like they're wearing a bib. Dark feathers are in that area below the neck and the chest area that have the shape of a bib. Now, the male may have it as well, but it's going to be much lighter in color, or it may not have it at all. So that's how you can quickly ascertain whether you're looking at a male osprey or a female osprey. Now, the female does most of the incubating, brooding, direct feeding of the young. The male goes out and catches the fish. They're believed to be largely monogamous, both to their nesting site and to their mate. And some nests just get rebuilt. They usually visit the same nest for up to 20-25 years. And they just add to it and repair it every year when they go to have their young. Now, in the second half of April is typically when the ospreys lay their eggs, 1 to 3 eggs, and then the mom will incubate them for 37 days each. Now, even though they may hatch, within a day or two of each other, unlike some other birds, the first chick born does not get overly aggressive typically, where it tries to, kill one of the other younglings in the nest. Now, I can tell you from experience, anhingas are not one of those birds. Anhingas are very, they'll go at each other. They'll try to take each other out, so only one of them gets the food. A perfect example is I have some photos of that started out to be a nest of 4, and unfortunately there were 2 in the nest that are deceased, and their heads are hanging down from the nest, and they just build the nest right on top of them, and the 2 that are left are probably going to make it because there's enough food to feed 2 of them where there might not have been enough food to feed 4. Now, the birds fledge at 53 days, but they stay with the adults close to the nest for another couple months before they're on their own. Now, many juvenile birds will die before they get to the mating age, which is 3 years old. And if they do make it through that period of time, they can expect to live anywhere from 15 to 20 years. Now, I've seen some documentation on the internet that says, they only live for 8 years, but most of the places that I viewed, because I will look for more than one source, tend to substantiate that 15 to 20 year time frame. Now, the oldest one in the wild was supposedly 32 years old, so they can live a pretty good amount of time. Now, let's talk a little about their confrontations that they have with eagles. Now, eagles are they will steal the food from the osprey. They will let the osprey do the work. So an osprey can dive, work hard, catch the fish. The eagle could be pretty far away, and the eagle will instantaneously fly as soon as that osprey comes out of the water with the fish, and try to harass the osprey to the point where it's going to let go of that fish. And probably 75% of the time, the eagle wins out. Once in a while, the osprey may have too much of a head start, or may be able to get into the trees, into the tree line, and get away from the eagle. But if it's out in the open air, that eagle will catch up before you know it. It has a bigger wingspan. It's stronger. It can catch up. It'll harass the osprey. It'll drop the fish. And most of the time, the eagle will be able to catch the fish before it hits the water. But sometimes the fish wins. Sometimes, I don't know if the fish survives, is still alive when it hits the water or not. But, I'm not underwater to let you know that one. Now, a few facts about ospreys versus eagles in general. And I am looking at a cheat sheet here. I don't have everything memorized, so if I look down, I apologize. But eagles can weigh up to 15.4 pounds, whereas an osprey is going to be less than 5. Now, an eagle is going to be up to 39 inches tall versus 33 inches tall, so that's a significant difference as well. But the wingspan is 80 inches for an eagle and 59 to 70 inches for an osprey. Now, their diet is really different. I mean, an osprey's diet pretty much is just fish. I've never seen one eat anything other than a fish. I'm not saying they don't, but that's the only thing I've ever seen them eat. And if you watch Mark Smith's YouTube channel, you know from his videos that they eat a lot of fish. And whereas an eagle will eat fish, it'll eat mammals, it may eat other birds, it may eat snakes, it eats just about anything. So those are the significant differences between the two. And when it comes to the battle between the two of them, typically the eagle wins. Now, I've never seen an eagle actually take out and kill an osprey. It's usually just harassing it to steal its food. But in trying to photograph eagles catching a fish versus an osprey catching a fish, an eagle makes it look so easy, so nonchalant, drags the talons across the water, and magically there's a fish in the talons, and it just keeps on flying. An osprey, I mean, it hits the water hard, it goes underwater, it gets the fish. If it's a big fish, it may struggle to pop its head out of the water and has to work really hard to get into flight if it has a large fish. I mean, that is a very exciting chain of events to capture on video or on film or digital cameras, because to me it's much more exciting to watch an osprey get a fish than it is an eagle. Although I obviously love getting any shots I can get of an eagle, because I mean it's the icon of America, and absolutely gorgeous. But in terms of drama, there's no drama when it gets a fish anyway. So we will move forward and watch these video clips, and hopefully you enjoy it. Have a good one. Start our adventure on the Intercoastal Waterway about 8:45 a.m. next to the Sockasty Swing Bridge. Pictures you're going to see in the beginning is birds early in the morning that have chicks, most of which are hidden. It's almost as if they're telling the chicks, keep your heads down. We don't want these people on the boat to see you. So it was very frustrating for quite a while. Basically half the trip, where we knew there were chicks, but we just couldn't see them. They were just hidden in the nest too well. Or you'd see part of the wing stick up, that type of thing. So it wasn't until we were almost halfway on our 4-hour journey before things, started to turn around. But in the beginning here, you're going to see the earlier part, the first half of the trip. Here's a quick video. And what's interesting in this video is how this osprey will swing its head back and forth. And it seems to be more common with the younger ones than the older ones. And I tried to look up the reason why they do it. And I'm basically just going to say, I don't know. There are a lot of different theories on the internet. So, because there didn't seem to be a common theme, I'm just going to say I don't know. I'll leave that to some scientist to explain if he or she chooses to watch my channel and can make a comment about that. So I'll let you enjoy the rest of this video, and then we'll be looking at some more pictures. And as we approach these birds in their nests from the boat, it doesn't take long for them to turn their heads and lock their eyes on us and make it well known that they know we're there, they're watching us, don't get too close, don't bother us. And you'll see that common theme in a lot of these photographs where the bird is looking right at us. It's just they're just aware of everything, and they go in some of the highest trees. I mean, I don't even want to guess how high some of these trees were off the water, but occasionally they'd leap off and fly away for a little while and then come back. And as stated in the introduction of this video, it is the males that are always flying off to get the food. I mean, when the young ones are a lot bigger, then the mom and dad may share that responsibility. But when they're very, very small, dad's getting the food and mom's doing all the hard work. As you can see, here's another one looking right at me as I'm taking the picture. And then gets a little bit vocal, lets us know, get out of Dodge, don't want you around, guys. Like I said, common theme. They're always watching you. Now this one, we hung around a little too long. Feathers got a little ruffled. Was kind of getting ticked off at us. A lot of vocalization going on. There's a little video coming up. This little one didn't really want to raise its head too much. This bird was very much aware of our presence. Of course, we're kind of going around the mile marker here on the Intercoastal Waterway, and it's funny how you have the flashing. You can't see the light in this picture, this image, but it does have a light at the top, and it's a mile marker on the Intercoastal Waterway. And it's amazing that they don't build on every single one of them, but there are several nests on these markers, and the young ones get to have flashing lights in their face, I guess, at nighttime, and it doesn't bother them. screaming going on. What else is there? Here's just some more stills that were taken. You can see the baby's head sticking up. So this is really on the way back from the midway point. Obviously, go out 2 hours, turn around, come back. Roughly, anyway. Like I said, this one got a little bit temperamental. We hung around a little too long. We didn't like it. Let us know about it, that's for sure. And you can tell from the angle of this shot that we are, floating past it because I'm, getting the side view. It eventually flew off and basically flew around us, watching us, and then went back and landed back in the nest again. And some of these nests are in some really interesting places. It's just so neat to see them. Really, really is. Beautiful birds. Now here's the top of the marker, where you have the flashing light. Now here's Dad flying in with a fish. And the dad, most of the time, will chew off and eat the head and bring the fish to the mom with the head off. It makes it easier for her to get at the insides of the fish to feed the young. So he's bringing it in for a landing, as we can see. Lays it down in the nest. Then Mom and Dad have a quick kiss, is what it looks like. And then before you can count to 5, Mom's picking it apart and starts feeding the babies. So you'll see a sequence of shots here of the young getting fed. At this point in time, Dad was back in the nest for a brief period of time, sitting in the background there. And then, he's had enough between the chicks bumping him, I'm sure, and fighting for food and making a lot of noise. He just says, I'm getting out of Dodge. I don't feel like hanging around anymore. And Mom just continues to feed them. And what a laborious task it is. I mean, one little piece of fish at a time. Every once in a while, Mom will take a swallow of food for herself. I mean, the heat is very difficult on these young ones. I'm sure a lot of them die from heat exhaustion. I mean, there is no shade in the nest, obviously, and this particular day it was, you know, probably around 75 degrees at around 8:45, 9 o'clock a.m., but by the time we got closer to noontime, it probably went up about 10 degrees, so it was starting to warm up quite a bit. But we had over 100 degrees the week before. As was stated in the beginning, most of the time they have lay between 1 and 3 eggs. Of course, it doesn't mean that all 3 are going to hatch. But when you have 3 young ones to feed, here's now video clips of mom feeding the babies. When you have 3, as you do in this video, you have 2 in the immediate front, like 2 are in the front row and then 1 is in the back row. Now the one on the far right that's in the back does seem to be a sizable youngster. However, throughout this video, you'd be hard pressed to find any point in time where it actually gets any food, because the 2 in the front are getting all the attention and they're getting all the food. So I don't know at what point that one to the far right in row 2 actually got anything. Sometimes mom can pull off a pretty large string of fish meat to give the youngsters, but many a time it's just a small piece of fish, like probably smaller than like half the diameter of a pea. I mean, I get tired just watching how hard mom's working here. And when I mentioned how to identify the male from the female, you can see what I was talking about when I said there's like a bib underneath the neck. You could see the brown feathers going across the chest just below the neck. And like I said earlier, the male may have that effect, but it would be a lot lighter in color, or it may not have it at all. Let you watch and enjoy some more of this feeding. It isn't something that you really get to see very often. I mean, if you own a boat, you get to see it, but if you don't own a boat or rent a boat, you wouldn't get that opportunity. The state park where I go and frequent two to 4 times a week, the Ospreys are not there now, or very few, because they're all having their young along either the Wakawa River or the Intercoastal Waterway. Eventually they'll come back and feed there. Now here's a couple youngsters that both parents left the nest, which, you know, they're a little bit older, they're bigger than the ones you've seen before, so I guess the parents feel safe in leaving together to get food. And These guys are, got their tongues hanging out. I mean, I think they're really hurting from the heat. And you'll see a video in a little bit where they'll do that head swaying effect that I was talking about before that you saw in one of the earlier videos. They're real cute, aren't they? Now here's the video, and at this point, the one that was on the right-hand side just kind of put its head down. I think it's just getting really, really hot. Later on, it does raise its head, so it's a good sign that, it was okay, but at this point, it got a little nervous. And I apologize for the bouncy video, but when you got a 500mm lens on your camera and you're on a boat, you're not set up with any fancy equipment to try to stabilize it and control the motion. So as there's the head bobbing. Oh, that's so funny. It's so funny. So as we turn sometimes to go around the nest in the boat, or we have a wake that we get hit with from a larger boat going by, I'm going to be bouncing up and down and back and forth sometimes while I'm filming this, and unfortunately there isn't much I can do about it. Yeah, no point in this series of clips with these two youngsters do the adults show up during that time that I'm filming. Now we move on to another one. You can see the baby under the wing of the adult. There are many, many nests and a lot of activity, especially in the second half of the trip. There are, though, it's amazing, they say that they go back to the same nest for the most part and just rebuild it, but you will see abandoned nests, but I wonder if they're abandoned because the nesting pair, passed away, and so the other birds don't want to use a nest that they don't associate that as their nest, so it just sits there abandoned. I mean, obviously lots of times owls will inhabit abandoned nests from other birds, so it's funny here with the food, with some nesting material around it, and it's like the baby's like, hey, it's like trying to pick out the food from a slinky. I don't want all that extra stuff. I'm not a vegetarian. Just give me the fish. This nest, anyway, appears to only have one youngster. Mom has a big piece of fish there. Obviously, this is a somewhat jumpy video of the feeding process. Once again, I apologize for that. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Until next time, enjoy life, capture some of it.